Welcome to another exciting edition of Cybersecurity, Amazon Web Services, and Software Development. Yes, friends. Yes, ladies. Okay. And yes, gentle folks. Just let me double check my channel again. We should be live. This is the second attempt to try to get through this lab. Please forgive the first attempt, but we will see. So let's just jump right into it. Instead of going through the introduction of what the lab entails, we can just start at task 1. We're going to try to create launch an Amazon Redshift cluster. Let me just pause this. Okay, wait. The bandwidth is a little choppy now, but we'll get through it. Okay, so here we go. So step 1 is go to Amazon, look for the Redshift. So I could just use the search here. Amazon Redshift. There we go. All right. Then navigate to the left pane to the clusters. So clusters. Then create cluster. Okay. Got an exception there. We'll worry about that later. So we're going to create a cluster. And in order to create a cluster, we need to go to cluster configuration, which is, we're going to create the cluster here. I'm just going to rename it to cluster identifier, call it lab. Okay. It doesn't say free trial or trial, so we're just going to see if we could just go cluster identifier. Node type would be DC too large, and only 2 nodes. And then we go to database configuration, and we want master, and then show admin password is Redshift123. Cluster permissions. This is where I got all the permissions wrong. So cluster permissions. For cluster permissions, you want to select available IAM roles. So we could look here and select manage IAM roles. Select Redshift. And select Redshift role, but it doesn't say service for IAM role Redshift. So let's just, last time we didn't check this before. So let's select that. And then click the associate IAM role. Associate IAM role. Oh. Okay. Select Redshift. Okay, role. And then click this. Click on IAM associate role. Okay. Oh, select associate IAM role. Okay, so we're gonna go to associate. I'll go to manage. Okay, so this is where the permissions are a little iffy. So we got the database name, password. Okay, we do cluster permissions. Create IAM role as a default cluster that All full access policy. The policy includes overrun, unload. Okay. So we do available IAM roles, select Redshift role. So I guess create role. No. So for IAM role, select the Redshift role, which I thought we did there. Nope. So let's go to associate. Nope. Oh, okay. So select associate IAM role. Click the associate IAM role. Select Redshift. Available IAM roles. Dude, this is where it gets weird. It just says the data configuration and then associate IAM roles, and then it should be selected. Okay, so I want to manage. I guess we select that. And then okay, let's manage. All right, so let's just say use defaults to be blue. All right, network security. Network security is lab VPC. And then next is default deselect the security group and select the security Redshift group. Database configuration. It's lab DB. Go all the way to the bottom of the cluster. Great cluster. All right, this is where I guess I had to wait for the cluster to be created. So as the cluster is being created, we have to wait until it says, yeah. You cannot do the role right. So we have to go back and make sure that this role is not selected. And then try again. The default should be associate IAM role, which is done. There's also associate role. Okay. Select default. All right. Let's see if this works. There we go. So we don't have the permissions to add the additional. And there we go. Okay. User is not authorized to perform IAM role pass. Okay, so apparently there's an error up here in the permissions. So I thought it would be this. Let's try IAM roles. No. Let's try create IAM roles. So I got here, but I couldn't connect. So there's something I missed here in the permissions. So if we go in the IAM roles, select Redshift role. No. Create IAM roles. Manage, select Redshift role. Select Redshift role. And then click IAM associate. Okay. Alright, let's see if this creates it. Okay. That should create it now. And it still doesn't create it. Okay, so there's something wrong with the permissions up here now. Okay. So let's set this to that. And then go here. Okay. Alright, let's try again. Ah. We can't assign the role in this one. So we go back and remove the IAM roles, and then IAM associate. Here it is. And Redshift. So apply. There we go. We can't assign the other role because I guess it's not allowed, so we have to select the gray one. Okay. So now we're getting the database or the cluster is being created because we did these steps already. So we're now waiting for the display to be available. So in order to do that, we would have to go to cluster name. Right now it just says modifying, so we have to wait until it says available, then we can move forward. This is the step I guess stopped at. So in order for the database permission to be set, you have to select the Redshift role. Then right now it's still modifying and it's still creating the database. So let's recap again. As we wait, we use the task to create a cluster. You go to services, clusters, create the cluster. You give it the name, give it the node type, masters. When you get down to the associate role, you just make sure that you select the Redshift role only to be able to create the cluster. Then you give it a virtual private network, database name, and whatnot, and then you do the create cluster, and this is the first task. So yeah, so a lot of this is just a waiting game for the cluster to be created, and wait for the status of the cluster display before continuing the next task. Let's just go back here and just review some of the pre things that we need to use for this lab. As you know, this is an introduction to Amazon Redshift. The topics that will be covered would be the following. Launch a Redshift cluster, connect to the SQL client to the Redshift cluster, load data from S3 bucket, run queries, and then use Amazon Redshift as a data warehouse, use Amazon S3 as simple storage in other services. So there we go. As we wait for this cluster to load, we can look at the next steps, which we have to wait for the steps to go. And the next step is just connecting. So it's just simple making sure that the status is available before we proceed to the next steps. Apparently creating a database is very time consuming. That's what they gave us, an hour to do so. So as you can see, there's only like 2 steps to connect to the data and task 2. You just need an SQL client and then the editor. In this example, they tell us to go to the editor tool right here to connect to the database. But the other examples of connecting to your cluster is you can use this business tools using what they call the ODBC or JDBC drivers. And you just select the type of driver to download. So this is basically a programmatically way to connect to your cluster if you don't have the query editor in Redshift and the console management. So this would basically be your example of using the drivers, or they call it the ODBC driver connectors, the Open Database. Fudge. Let me look that up. The ODBC defined. What does that mean again? Because okay, now it says available. So what the Open Database Connectivity, basically, it's an open standard that you use to help connect to a database. So this is just an example of database connectivity. Let me just drop this into the chat for later consumption. And there you go. All right, so now that we have it available, we could just go back to the steps here. So we go to editor. That's probably why I didn't do it the first time. So we go to connect. They tell us now it says available instead of it being modifying. The database name, of course, is LADBDB, and then username is that. We should be able to now create a connection, and then it should prompt us, hopefully. There you go. It's connected. All right, now that we've connected using the query, now we can create a table. Now they just told us to copy and paste this. So you just delete the existing query. Right now there's nothing there. We'll just copy and paste this code into here. Paste. Where's the paste? There's no paste. Okay, and then just click run. That's it. Pretty easy. So for quick purposes, this is basically a SQL command that says create tables, and the name of the table is called users, and these are the fields it has: user ID, city, and all these other wonderful fields in the table. So now that we have that query plugged into the editor, just run it. So the run command is here, and we just wait for the table to run, and it's done. Okay, this command users. Now we load sample data. Now, of course, an example of this is just we go back to, I believe they say to query window. So we're going to delete this existing query, or better yet, we can actually keep the same query. In other words, yeah, we can just delete this one that we've created, or we can do this. Let's just create another one for query 2. How do we get back to query 1? Oh boy. Okay, so we'll figure out how to get back to query 1. So what you're gonna do is we're just gonna, I guess, copy this query command that they've provided for us and just paste it in here. And what this, I guess, query will do, it will copy all the data from there, and we have to use it. Start with that. We may have to get these credentials later. If not, then if this doesn't work, then we have to look for our credentials. And right, yeah, it didn't run. So what we have to do is we need to look for the credentials IAM. So to get that, I think could be under user. We need the credentials. So where's the credentials? Well, let's read the task for this. Okay. So before running this command, you need to insert the role that Redshift will use to access Amazon S3. To the left of the instructions, you're currently reading, copying the value for role. It will be start with the RNS AIM. Okay, So to the left of the instructions. To the left of the instructions. So yeah, there you go. So we're gonna copy that into the query. So just make sure your instructions are wide enough so that you can see it. So you're gonna replace your role with the credentials that they provide. So bam. So after that, you can actually run this query and it should populate the table. And it's going to say successful run. So far, so good. And there you go. Now the table is populated. We've gotten, whoa, in 10 seconds, we've populated for about almost 50,000 rows. Now the fun part is querying data. Okay, the next task would be doing the following. So we're just going to do another query. And there we go. That's how you view the other queries that you've done. So the first query, of course, is you created the table. The next query is they provided us a sample for us to populate the table, and then knowing the credentials, if you make sure you scroll your instructions all the way to the left so that you see it, those are the credentials you use to populate the table. Let me see how much time we have left, or at least how much time we've gone. Gonna pause for a little break for station identification. We're gonna do the querying. I'm gonna take a water break here because I've been talking for a while. So, yeah. So that now that we have the table populated, we're just now gonna do a query of the examples, and then we're done with this lab. So let's go back to the lab here, and then we're just gonna, they gave us the 3 examples to query. You can change this query around, but we're gonna do each one. Okay, so we go back to the console, like so. Oops. All right, so the first query, we're gonna do a plus, so we're gonna do query 3, which is gonna select all tables. So you can copy paste this if you like, or you can write it out. So wait, let me just double check how the query is written. Okay, it's like a normal SQL. Okay, so it's a normal select statement. So you do select, and then it's gonna actually this is a count command with using the asterisk to count, and then you're gonna tell it you want to count it from the users table. I don't know why they made it lowercase, but we'll do so. So when you run the query, it should result in maybe 50,000 rows. And where is the results? That's a good question. Where is the results? Query results are right here. We can actually look at it. So you can visualize or look at the data directly. So that's just the table results. Not selected, I guess. Query 137, return rows. Oh, there it goes. There's a count. So that's the results. If you can see that in this query we did, the name of the count is that, and we can actually change that. So we can say as number of users. Okay, so if we run the query again, which is here, we can actually change the table name, the table field name. Instead of saying count, it will just say number of users. I don't know why there's no space in there, but there you go. So the query just says select the count and just return the number of fields that are in this table. So that's what the select statement does. And just to clarify it is you can rename it so that it says number of users. So the next query, we're gonna do a new one, a new query here. And just to save time on this, we're just gonna do copy paste. You can write it out yourself. And it's just another select statement. We're just gonna run it. And there you go. And returns all these wonderful field values. Just kind of play with these different ways to look at things. You can also have the visualization. Wow, it's cool. Anyhow, but just for the for our purposes, you just look at the data that's returned. So far, it's returned 18 rows, and then these are the data. And then let's do the last one. Select. Oops. Just copy that, and then do a third query up here, and then just paste it in there. Wait, and then run the query again, which is run. So this is interesting. It returns the number of fields that have the number of times the city returns. And then there you can do also the query challenges. Only display the first name and last name. Display of the users who both theater and classic music, and the last name Will Smith. I'll let you guys do that. If you guys need help writing out these select statements, I could just hit me up on Discord or make a comment on the video here, and I'll attempt to do these challenges. I'll probably do the first example. Only display the first and last name of, I guess, the query. So let's do this. Let's run the first one. So if we only want to select. If you do select all, there's a way to select all the fields. One way to look at the fields. Where's the way? So let's say select everything from users, and it's actually going to return all the data. That's almost 50 thing, so that you can just see what it looks like. All right, so we're going to run this. So basically, we're going to return all the data that's including fields, whatnot. And it does take a while to run because it is a very big table, I guess, 50,000 records. So that's why it's very keen to try to remember what the fields are. Oh, and if you don't know the answer is of course right here, and then there you go. So if you try to do it on your own, where you start with a query, you would then say that's the answer, of course. That's the answer. But what I would have done if I didn't know how to do this myself, I would query the first name. One way to do it is, let's say, darn, there's a way to say distinct. There's a way to limit the select statement so that it's one row. But let me see how much time we got. We got 44 minutes. So so this is basically the complete answer. Let's just type this out so that you see what it does. I did a query of all the tables, but what you can do is you can comment this out. I think this is how you comment out. Yeah. So you can comment that out, and then you just write this query out, and you can basically play with this for like 44 minutes of your time. Did I just comment out the? Okay, so that's the answer. Yeah, I know that's the answer. Pretty easy. So you can write this out. Let me just make sure that it's done. So it's select first, last name, and then you say it's from the table, from users, and then you do a condition, a where condition, to try to limit the rows where like theater. Is that the name of the field? Oh, it is the field. The spell it right. TRE, and like classical and last name equals Smith. So it's looking for all the fields. Oops, Smith. So it's looking for the fields where like classical and like theater are the same, Name of the field is Smith. Okay. If we run that, it should hopefully just narrow down all the fields or records that have the last name Smith. And there's only 4. So Lionel Wade, Burke, Ally, and so on. All right, so that's it. That concludes the blab. You can, like I said, you can play with the number of records. There is a way. Let me see if I can pull this up quickly. You could actually say in SQL, only show field names. There's a way to do this. I'm gonna cheat and use Google. So if you want to just return the field names in the tab. Now, of course, this is MySQL. It should work for any SQL data. So if you say, I don't know if this actually works. So we're gonna try it. So we're gonna do a query, 7th query. Say show fields from table name, which is users. Okay, let's see if this works. If this works, then I'll be surprised. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done any query commands. It actually doesn't do it because don't know why. Okay, so it's something from the from. So I think this only works from server SQL on there, but you can actually write it this way. So let's see if this actually works. So select from table name, column name. So select from column name, that's schemas. The table name would be here, would be users. So this is another way to write it. If it works, if great. If not, then. And then this is for what they call the store procedure. And there it goes. It actually works. So that's basically returns all the field names of the table using this command, which is select there. So let's just include this in the chat so that you guys can look at it later. Oops, there you go. And there you go, folks. It's a conclusion to the lab. Thank you for watching the painful second attempt. And I'm glad that you were able to get through this with me. The first attempt, I forgot to wait for you have to wait for the table to the database to be available for us to actually move on with the lab. So there you go. Okay, this concludes the demo of this lab, and see you guys in class. This little heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Hold on, this should be ending soon, but let me just double check the status of the stream, because sometimes I don't know. Okay, this should conclude the stream. Thank you, and see you guys in class.